Hello, hello. I'm Aarnimetsa from Pokerimania, and this is one part of our from 150 to 1k project. And currently at around 144 bucks. It hasn't went as expected. Not as bad as the previous project, but not as expected. And if you just look at the 1.5s, this could probably be a okay project, but losing the 30 bucks on the only 12 3.5s has been pretty bad. And and today still a problem filled day. Have had a single crash with PokerStars and always when I'm having crashes I'm trying to change the setup and trying to improve it. Unfortunately, it has been quite a while, and this is like third day trying to get all the gremlins worked out, and either there is a lot more gremlins than I would have hoped for, or the gremlins are just stronger than I would have hoped for. But this time around I have tried to downgrade PokerStars and downgrade Session Load and see if that helps. And trying to get the session going now, and after our session we are straight going with Kyberis Spot Limit Omaha. And doing the 9 maxes, trying to get the 9 maxes going on. As we are still at the level that we can go broke with the bankroll management we have, so trying in these sessions then to focus on games where we have the least chance of going broke. And this is something that I have also tried to do to get as many 9 maxes as possible. And 9 maxes, especially these, it has been going on okay, even though it could still be better. That's something like 3.5% of EV. And the games look quite nice. And as I have had the problem with the PokerStars crashing, every time it crashes, it doesn't save these markings to files. So I have had a lot of problems with it, so that I don't have my markings done correctly, because the markings are quite wasted after having a problem, after not shutting down the PokerStars cleanly. Let's actually move this to the other side of the screen, so when we get the stack going, it's going to be a bit easier. Right now I noticed that Postgres is taking up quite a lot of processor time, and I hope that it doesn't become a problem during this session. With Poker Tracker it sometimes is when I'm just jumping around from report to report. Then it leaves some queries hanging with the Postgres and doesn't close the queries the right way around. And I hope that everything works out fine. It's just one thing for me, that technical problems are one of the most tilting things in poker. There's almost a situation, does anyone hear me? I have done it before, that I have been speaking for like 5 minutes and then just nobody has told me that I have my microphone muted, but everything should be working on my end. I think that everything should be working, but I'm not. I don't know. Tell me if everything is working or not. Now the Postgres load got reduced, so no Postgres load at the moment. NXP Ninja can hear me, and you are also at the same game, so that's kind of sucky. Probably I could move all the games that we are together, but then there wouldn't be any games left, so probably just gotta suck it up. Or then this might also be a good time to change for those 6 maxes when we are having too much familiar faces in the games. Actually, might be a good idea to do a switch up for 6 maxes for today. So let's grind. Let's do 6 of these, and when I'm having 6 of these, then I'm going to stop opening these and switching them up for 6 maxes. Then it also breaks the monotony somewhat that breaks up the monotony somewhat that we are having on our streams when it has been all 9 max thus far. I have my registrations on for 5 games. 5 games thus far, so should be quite quick to start the last ones as well. Games actually, they seem to be quite good, so that's a positive thing. Let's try to do the switch up to 6 max as quick or as painless as possible. Okay. Poker. I don't have the get hands while playing on Poker Stars or Poker Tracker on, so that's something that we'll need to add so that we are getting the HUDs working. Hello, Detrusitol. And also welcome to Kaleon and Tappip. So let's do a slight U-turn here and let's start adding some 6 maxes as well. First game should be 9 maxes, but then we are going to move up to some 6 maxes. In a way, it's funny since I think that 6 maxes are probably going to be the more fun. They're going to be the more fun structure all around if comparing to 9 maxes and 6 maxes. But out of this project, we have been running like death in those, so the fun kinda gets sucked out of those. Against the habitual limper, I think that out of position with queen 10 off, it's going to be the optimal way to play it. You just shove it in and hope to get some folds and getting like 20%, 20 or 25% more stack size for with a low risk. And then thinking about how much is the most that my opponent will pay easily. I'm just trying to value bet as big as my opponent is willing to pay, and unfortunately he wasn't willing to pay that much. But that's like when we don't have enough that we can induce, and even in these lowest levels we don't want to induce that much, since opponents in general are not going to be as aggressive post flop. Opponents in general aren't going to be as aggressive post flop in these games as they are going to be in higher stakes. Like an unknown player in these games is likely going to be a bit more passive. So then we are not trying to induce, but we are mostly trying to just optimize the value bets with the highest bet sizing that we can expect. With about 15 big blind, just getting it in with ace king, even against an early opener. Yeah, this is 6 max. There's actually a lot of options open with the king jack off type of hand. Ouch. What did we hit here? Ace 8 suited. Actually, one good question with this PokerStars version is that how can I theme this one? Like for some reason that doesn't get themed with the theme that I have on my tables, and before it seemed to be working, but right now it's always with the crappy old theme, with the old cards for some reason. So if someone knows how to theme the replayer, I'd be happy to. Oh, it's the same theming, but it's just the okay. Creating a horrible theme in a rush here, so creating a completely horrible theme in a rush here, so trying to do a ton of stuff at the same time isn't probably the optimal way, but now we are having a prettier replayer. I wanna isolate this guy, but I don't wanna get it all in against this guy and make it easy for this guy to fold. I isolated the wrong guy, but ran pretty nicely. We are going for broke when we are having top pair here. I still think it's going to be the optimal way to go, to just go for broke when we are having, like, the most common hands that our opponents are showing up there when they are going for broke are going to be weaker jacks than our ace jack, but oh, it was a weaker jack, but it was a 2-pair jack, so and today we are trying to do the same thing as the last time, or on our finish session, that I'm trying to hand this session over to Kyberi at 9 o'clock with as little of a break between the two sessions, and probably trying to do it a bit differently this time. I hope that it went well with the Kaleon stream last time around, and trying to improve on that. Ouch, just like the worst pocket pair calling except aces. The worst small pocket pair that can call us. And good evening to Unteri Tokki. Detrito says that Mercury team. I'm just so used to this Nova team, and Nova team is the one that has the biggest numbers. So trying to optimize the team for glanceability, that I could glance the information as quickly as possible. And I know that the Mercury theme, it's the newest theme that PokerStars has, but I think that Nova is still going to be better. I think that it lends better to use with the. I think we can get some value out of there. I think that Nova lends it better to use with HUDs as well, that the resources are a bit more blocky, so there's a bit more space to add the HUDs. But this 4-color deck, this is awesome on PokerStars. I like this 4-color deck a lot. It's clear and it's clarified, and this is something that I think that should help quite. Queen 4. Pretty much just can't fold. He's going to have such a small stack size, and he has been aggressive enough. Yeah, Calleon, I know that it didn't work, so now we are trying to communicate the switch up, so. But it's actually quite nice to know that I can't accidentally fuck it up to, if someone else is running a stream on through our server, that I can't screw it up by starting my own stream by accident. So that's nice to know. Like on Twitch, if you are having multiple guys streaming to the same channel, and someone else just presses the play button, it kicks the streamer that's already connected out. Which I don't think is going to be the optimal way. Okay. Getting completely crushed here. Okuberi is going to start at 21:30. I thought that it would be 1.5 hour session for me, and actually this I should have added a bit more to the bet sizing and tried to add, but then misclicked to the raise button. Oh well, it wasn't a costly misclick, it's one of the best misclicks you can happen. Like, I think if you are connected straight to Twitch, then it kicks the other guy out and then the other guy gets the reconnecting window. But, and also OBS with its system, it buffers a bit before it starts, so it will look like it's going okay, but when it's still not. Now we should be all 6 maxes. He limps and he bets, and we have a bottom pair. It's going to be close. And when he min bets and we improve to an open ender, then it's going to be less close. I think the last min bet is is still a callable one. And he got a better 4 there, and I don't think that he's against the general player in here. I don't think that he's the idea he has. I don't think that it's the best idea, but well, this time around it sure worked for him. Generally just limping early position and betting multiple times. Betting multiple times the small bets with the bottom pair is probably one of the best ideas to get rid of your money. I'm going to get so much flack from that aces hand that I played aces where I didn't raise the aces. If this guy's already pretty much always flatting me anyway, opening doesn't make that much sense there. Well, oh wow. Probably dodged a bullet there. But actually it was a mistake on... Oh, it's not a mistake on my part. I marked him as a player I want to play against, so... Like, if you see somebody do something stupid and you don't mark him, then usually that's a mistake. On 6 maxes you can see that the game is going to be a lot quicker, and it's one reason why I like 6 maxes more. More as a game that you can get more action even with less tables. I think it's in a way it's a more fun format for a recreational player, as you don't have to have a ton of tables going to have a constant stream of decisions and distraction. And just before my last session, I tried to downgrade the PS Poker Stars. So now it's all about seeing that does it work or not. Not in the longer sessions. Actually, in a way, now in these 6 maxes there hasn't been that many hard choices. A lot of like basic choices in here. The opponent limps, we have 10 big blinds. It's going to be an easy shove or fold decision, or it's going to be an easy shove decision, as we are having a small pocket pair that plays pretty well and has a lot of equity even against tight range. But what's going to be usually fun in these 6 max is that you are going to have some more complex situations, and you are going to have some a bit more hairy post-flop situations as well. But like if it goes like this, then we have had just easy decisions pretty much. Ouch. Ouch, ouch. Getting the odds, but we are not getting the odds with the ICM taken into account, and also the value of having the bubble alive there. The value of having the bubble alive is that we can get more out of the middle stack there, and the middle stack wants the bubble to pop as quickly as possible. I'm not going out of my way to keep the bubble alive, but Exactly, Nas. Like, if I would think that this guy is a reg, then this would be a call. With something like 600 chips, I think it's still going to be a call, but... And in this case, when we are getting back to the situation that we are not the biggest stack by far, okay, Queen 7 suited, it's going to be better. Then we are trying to just get back to the spot, back to the situation where we are having the big stack again. So, and when an opponent calls here with pocket deuces, I think that's quite a horrible call. Even when his stack size starts to falter down, but with pocket deuces, you pretty much always know that you are never going to be ahead of your opponent. Should have actually probably bet the 10-9 on the flop. Can't understand why I didn't. Jack 10 off, Jack 10 off. Well, we know that he has bet a lot, and now we know that he should be at least decently close to Nash. Like, that's one of those hands that if people have not seen any of or thought about their shoving ranges in these situations, they are not shoving hands like Jack 2 suited, as it's intuitively it's not a nice hand. So I think that's one of the tells we can know that our opponent like or and when we are seeing that kind of a hand, then we are adjusting really close to the Nash, at least on the calling side. He's still folding way too much, and we haven't seen any tight calls, so we are probably going to be slightly tighter than Nash to call, and a lot more aggressive than Nash to shove here. And opponent called with ace 9 suited. Well, what can you do? What can you do? Especially when it's a hand that's not a Nash shove, but it's a shove if opponent folds like probably something like 5% more than he should. It should become a... And Unteri Tokki asked how many tables do I play. Right now I play 5 tables. You can see the amount of tables that I'm having running here. It's the first number. That's the number of decisions I have waiting, and that's the number of decisions that are close to time banking. So actually playing 5 to 6 tables right now, trying to keep these streams to like 5 to 6, so we are having a constant stream of interesting decision points. And when I'm playing the real games, then I'm going to play pretty much I have played from 16 to 22 tables. Right now I'm experimenting of playing a few tables less and trying to concentrate more, so playing about 16 tables at the moment outside of these streams. And in stream I'm trying to play amount of tables that will make it interesting and will make it so that there is always going to be a decision point to be talked about. And trying to look through both of those chats, but sometimes if I'm having a lot of interesting spots, for example, I don't notice the comments that well, and sometimes also when chat goes by really quickly, then can't respond to all of the comments or just can't see some of those. Usually I try to at least read pretty much all of the. That's probably one of those questions also, that the amount of tables that I play is something that's usually that's one of those questions that's a frequently asked question. Mm. And as Deja put into our Twitch chat that there is a Finnish and English side to our community as well. So you can chat on our chat as well. I'm having both of these open. Oh wow. Oh wow. Not yet a win during this stream. I think that we have gotten quite a few hands already. This Misiorro is one of those guys that are on the watch list, that they are going to be. They might be regs. And there's Mr. Tay Handsome. But poker is a game where being handsome doesn't give you any advantages. It's all about the cards. But we'll see. I have had a game that I had like 3.5k chips on the bubble, so all the other guys had less than 1/3 of the chips that I had, and I bubbled that game. I still don't know how it can be possible, but like, it's like the reverse of that. You'll only need a chip and a chair, but you can even bubble even if you are having more than 3/4 of all the chips in play, and there's just one player that needs to be eliminated anymore. Okay, he is a tight looking player, but still, seeing aces there is not something that I'm expecting to see. Opening for 3x. I think that my ace 9 is going to be better, and I think that I'm also going to have some folds in, so that if my opponent is going to fold at least some part of his range, that's going to be quite profitable move for me to. Actually, in general, this should be plus EV, but probably playing a bit snake bitten at that moment. Like, it's still going to be like he shoves 16 big blinds, so he'll need to have at least like ace jack off in his range to shove there to make it profitable for me to take part in the pot with ace queen suited. But I think that the guys that usually that are shoving those are having mostly like small pocket pairs, and then they might also have something like small suited aces, something like ace 8 suited or something like that. Probably just seen too many of those better hands already. Good evening, Danita. Even yesterday I saw you on the 1.5s. What's going on? But basically on the project it's mainly been a failure in the it has mainly been a failure in the volume part. Like having only 1,000 games after 4.5 days, it's a catastrophe. I should have had at least like that 1k games should be like after 2 days and not after 4.5 days. When those times that you play just 9 max, then you are going to also be taking part in some of the $1.5 hypers. We are having showdown value here as well, so no need to turn the ace into a bluff. And probably no value to be had. Actually, that's probably the only hands, but we are not playing against his hands, we are playing against his range. Like against that exact hand, we probably could have gotten some value on the river, but that would have been such a thin value bet. And Danita said that you also have the player lookup open. Usually I'm not that interested in what other guys are playing, and usually I'm trying to have a lot of tables going on, so smartly done this that he leaves only what short part of his, since I could have made a mistake and folded equity there for a smaller stack size than I should have folded to. And Tetrito said that maybe you should have had some kind of a time limit. Yeah, that might be a good idea to have some kind of a time limit to force yourself to play a bit more. Even though this has been one of those spots that it has been just so hard to, like, when I know that I'm not going to get through it at the time I have thought it would take, it has been really hard to motivate myself to play. And also I'd say that having these technical problems that I have had have also been something that I didn't plan for, and have made it a bit harder to put a good volume in. For Fans asked, am I an Estonian? I'm a Finn, but I live in Tallinn, so I'm like so I'm playing in PokerStar.ee, but I'm not Estonian per se. I know some of the language and stuff like that, so like I can handle myself self-speaking Estonian. Actually, that was a mistake. I thought that stack sizes, stack sizes, stack sizes, stack sizes. But I'm not good enough in Estonian to hold a stream in Estonian. At least yet. And Danita said that he's taking a day off today and really need it. I think that's one of the things also that I have seen on your project, that you are having now 3 losing days in a row. And that's something that can really stress you up. And I think that's also something that if you can break the circle by having a day off, then it might be quite a profitable day off. Mm. I'm having practically the best second pair here, and there shouldn't be like I'm losing to Jackson, I'm losing to sets, but just can't fold this. That was quite optimal play for him. Quite ambitious. Like, if it's a bluff, what's he thinking that I'm going to fold? And if it's a value, what's he getting value out of? And in 6 max, everyone's solid. I'd tend to disagree. I think that at the first look, the spins are going to be a good game at the first look, like when you are seeing that how big of mistakes your opponents are making, but they are a game that's on average that's a quicker game than the 6 max hypers. And I think that the rake they are having there is almost double the rake that we are having in these 6 maxes. So, and also if you are taking into account the lottery rake, that if you are not that you need to plan for, that you if you are not hitting the biggest multipliers, then even the smallest spins are not feeling like that kind of a bargain, even when people are doing big mistakes in there. And also, I don't like in a way that spins are completely opaque. That like in these games, you know that when you have marked the players, you know that like what kind of a games you are running. But in spins, on the other hand, you don't know how the player population turns out to be. Like in these games, like if I can see on the 9 maxes that I'm only seeing games that are having, let's say I'm only seeing games that are having 7 or 8 regs, I know that okay, now 9 maxes are going to be dead. But in spin and goes, I might have been playing like week or two games that are unbeatable if there have been just enough of those, if just their population of regs becomes too big, or the recreational players find something else to play. And Unteritokki said that, do you have some relatives in Jyväskylä and Jyska? Nope. But I have lived in Jyväskylä. And Detruto said that $5 ones are fun to gamble, and like $5 ones are the hardest ones to play professionally, because of there is like twice as much given the highest multipliers in the spins. So even when you have an opportunity to win the $1 million, but for someone that plays with a goal, like the $7 games are always going to be a game that you can play with a lower bankroll. All of the like the $7 games are games that you can get, that will get raked less, the variance is smaller, and also it's going to be an easier game to win in. But still, people are drawn to $5 games when there's the $1 million first prize, like the moths to the flame. But that's good. Like every time tournament poker becomes a fun way to gamble, it's always going to be good. This is like we are playing with almost the equal range than we would. And in those situations when there is going to be a sitting out player that has almost an equal amount of stack than we do, we try to aim for trying to get some of his stack and just like trying to ensure our survival. But if we would have had like double what our opponent will have there, then we might have taken a different approach. Actually, when it was pre-bubble and it was not on the bubble, scratch everything. We are going to go balls to the wall every time in there, since we'll need to outlast not only the sitting out player, but we'll need to outlast the second guy as well. This is something that when you are mixing 6 maxes and 9 maxes, sometimes you are going to make mistakes that you are going to think about the wrong structure at the wrong time, and like how many players you need to outlast to get money, and the intricacies of every of the different formats. And sometimes it makes it harder to I think it makes it harder to play both 6 maxes and 9 maxes at the same time. And Aarnimetsa is not my last name, so if there is someone living in Jyväskylä that has the Aarnimetsa as their last name, then. But my real last name, it's coming from Lapland, so I think that I have most of the relatives that are like distant relatives, or having the same surname. That's quite rare. I think most of the guys are from Tornio, or somewhere around there. When he shoves, we are having all equal stacks. Let's gamble. Let's have it on. Okay. Not okay. Comes from okay to not okay in a heartbeat. Unteritokki. Yep. You are correct. Even though now I'll probably need to think about where do I know you, but. Mm-mm. And in these moments when everything like slides through your hand so quickly, you'll need to do some of the quick decisions. And one of the things that I'm trying to do in these streams is to like slow down. And when I know that I have no hurry in the decisions, even if I'm having 6 decisions that are almost close to time banking, I should be able to do quality decisions at all of those situations. But it's mainly about trying to just like mentally slow down the flow of the game, and like it's going to mentally be quite hard to tell yourself that okay, you are not in a hurry. Even though he min bets still. And I called the flop because if he stops betting later on, we can try to steal the pot on the turn or the river. And if we have like two more opportunities to steal the pot. But usually these guys that are min betting, they are usually having some kind of showdown value, so we pretty much can't like bet him out of his hand with a total airball. But we need to have something solid there. King 4 suited, I think it's going to be good enough to gamble against this guy when we are going to get this guy stack almost always in. Like if we shove, he can't call us because there's still one chip left for the opponent and he can still fold. So creates a kind of a nasty dynamic. Nasty dynamic for our opponent there. Like in this case, he can call with a lot wider range when this guy's already all in. But if this guy would have made a non-all-in bet, then we could have added a lot more pressure against this guy, and I think his equity would actually have been higher there, because then this guy's big blind is almost always going to get left as dead money. But there's still a chance of three-way pot if he shoves it. Unteritokki asked, what's the easiest way to get 80 FPPs? I think it's still going to be sit and goes for most bankrolls. But 80 FPPs, it's like $51.5 hypers. So it's not a lot. Like if you play 4 tables, it's going to take something like 3 hours probably. 2 hours. 2 hours is probably going to be closer. And yeah, the article I've written, the rake in the knockout games is starting to approach levels that are going to be that it's almost always going to be better to play a non-knockout game, since on a non-knockout game there is going to be on a non-knockout game usually you can have a bigger edge. Like the knockout prize pool is a prize pool that's harder to get solid edge on. There's like no ICM. There's something in the like how much it matters that who is going to have the bigger stack. But in general, I think that the knockout prize pool is usually a harder prize pool to get edge on. And also something like if you are thinking about the biggest mistakes that people are doing, like when people are calling more in a structure where when people are calling more in a structure where they can get knockouts, then that's going to be usually bad for your equity, since there are so many spots where the worst mistake your opponent can do is to fold. And if you are going to get less folds in those spots, you are going to lose some of the edge you can have as a skilled player. And Daniel says that 50-50s are also a great format to get FPPs. Yeah, especially if you can multi-table those. Like if you can stack tables, 50-50s are one of the easiest games to 50-50s are one of the easiest games to play a lot of a high table amount, since the games never go lower than six-handed. And also they start at 10-handed, so all of the tables are from 10 to 6-handed. So the structure lends itself well to massive multi-tabling, and you can see videos on our YouTube channel where I have played like 46 tables of 50-50s. And Kauri said that spin and go is faster. yeah, it's faster if you can just afford to play at a level that. But you are correct in a way that like when Spin and Go has a higher rake than the Hypers, and it just depends on like how many tables can you play. And Spin and Goes are also going to be a structure that it's going to be easy to rake a lot. So that's something. And as Kaleon said that KO games are likely softer than before because of the higher rake. That's also true. Like I think that the games are likely going to be a bit softer, but I don't think that they are going to be softer enough compared to the regular structures. Might also be that people that are playing knockouts are changing to regular structures. But mainly after the rake update that they didn't announce at all, they announced it like a promo. And I think it's shameful for the poker the news sites that like no news site took any notice of their rake hike, and they just like noted that now they are having great promos where you can win stuff, but nobody understood that like yeah, they can put some promos where they are giving out 5k if they are robbing the 5k back by increasing the. It's a bit like, I think it's a bit like the $5 spin and goes that people are talking about like this is a great promo, even though it's not promo at all when they are charging higher rake for a game. That like it's an optimal way for them. Like they are getting good publicity in a way that like yeah, now we are having a good promo, and then they are just charging more for something that they're promoting. It's like okay, and then people are talking that this is great, like you can win 1 million, and it's like yeah, but you understand that you are paying more for your opportunity to win 1 million, and it's not a promo per se, since they are not giving extra money in the pool, but they are getting much more money themselves. So that's quite. I think the PR department has has been quite masterful in their work to like the PokerStars PR department. They are pretty geniuses. Like they are, even though they have screwed some things up, but I think that they have been quite skilled in a way to implement a lot of stuff where players are getting pretty straight fucked, but still like they are implementing it in a way that sometimes it looks like that they are having just promos and players are better off, even if it's the completely other way around, and it's the changes only goal of those changes has been to increase their bottom line and not make it better for the players or better for the game. But actually, when Kauri said that spin and goes are going to be an option, I think that if you can like you don't need to play more than 2 or 3 tables of spin and goes, and you should get like 80 FPPs done really really quickly. And if you can play 4 tables, then it's going to be even quicker, even at the low limits. But with the low limits, it's going to be like if you are playing even the $1 games, I think the rake is something like 9% at the moment there. So it's completely horrible. Trying to hide our stack size a bit. Doesn't matter that he re-raised us at all. Okay, we didn't get it. We didn't get that pot, but it's not about getting the pot at that point, but it's about what's the better play or not. Kauris says that the faster is to go casino, since in casino you can get coins, but these coins do not increase your status level. I think actually that could have been really smart for stars to do, like that you could get the status level increase with the casino rake. Since that would have been something that if they would have had Supernova Elite, that could have been like really lucrative for them. If somebody rakes 180k in a casino, it means that they have lost the 180k, and it doesn't matter if you are giving like 100k and the status back from them, since you are still pocketing 80,000 or something as a company. And Unteritokki says that I can play 20 tables of 45 mans if stacked, but not more than 4 spin and goes. And of course there is going to be a hurry if all 20 go to sword stacked, but it never happened. Yeah, that's pretty much the difference. Like I can play probably close to 50 45 mans or 180s, since the game is quite simple in a way. But I can't play more than 8 spin and goes with the, and I can play something like 25 5 mixed hypers with 6 maxes and 9 maxes. But that's also something that usually you'll need to take note, like if you are he's a reg, but if he's good enough reg to, he was an Estonian reg, so when he's an Estonian reg, that's kind of an edge call in Nash, and that's something that actually we shouldn't have done. I think that we should have edge on. I think we should have edge on a general opponent in these 1.5s to not go to the edge. But so we are like 43% complete to earn $55 of rake back. So that's going to be something that I didn't expect to be doing at 1.5s. I expected that we are going to leave the 1.5s in our dust already. But Kauris, it would have been a promo on where people that are playing other games and are producing a lot of money for stars would have had an opportunity in poker to show off their status, and that might have been a good idea for stars to get some more gains of their most frequent players. I don't know though. They might do some big casino or sports betting promos, but we don't get any of those in Estonia, and we don't see any of those in Estonia, so. But main difference between poker rake and like casino game or sports betting rake is that like in poker games you can pay rake without losing real money in the games, but in pretty much in casino games and in sports betting you are betting against the house, so the rake that you are basically paying there, or choose, or what's it called, vig, that's something that always the house will get the edge, or house will get the edge in a different way. So that's also something that why we have focused on the poker people, since people can play poker and they can win and still pay rake. But if like advertising for something for casino, then you'll know that like all the things that's coming in are coming from money that people have lost. But Kauris says that if you get a free play on stars, you can roll these slots easy for 100 to 500 coins, which is nice. But then you are like, okay, you can roll it to 100 to 500 coins. And what are the 100 to 500 coins worth? $1 to $5. So sorry, just like if we are putting it like 100 coins will sound a lot bigger than 100 coins will sound a lot bigger and a lot more meaningful than. And this is I like to. This is one spot where I like to fold a lot more than, because this guy gets eliminated so often, and if this guy gets eliminated in this hand, then we are skipping our next big blind. Queen 10 suited is just going to play so well in general spots. Even when opponent opens 3x, I just think that Queen 10 suited is going to play well enough to defend there. And okay, this guy didn't get eliminated, but the chances were pretty good that he's going to get eliminated. Okay, he limps and checks. Okay, queen jack. So he had the nuts on the turn. Wouldn't have gotten this guy to fold in that kind of a spot pretty much ever. And that's also nasty. One part of the luck in poker is going to be like what kind of cards you are dealt. And then it's going to be like what kind of flops you are getting with your hands. And sometimes in poker you are going to have like periods where everything goes right for you, like you are hitting flops left and right, like no matter what kind of a hand you are getting involved in a flop, you are always going to hit some part of it. And sometimes it's going to be the other way around, that your opponents are. And it's also like it's not necessarily good to always hit the flop if it's a period where opponents are always hitting one step better, since that's usually a recipe for quite a nasty downswing. Okay, Kauri said that stream stops and starts again. Well, no problem on my end here, so I can see a problem on my end, so. But if there are going to be problems, please tell me that. Now at least Kauris and Donita are having problems, and if there are more people having problems, and if the problems carry on, then we are going to try to do something against them, hopefully at least before Kuberis session. And Grey Fox said that, hey, where am I with the challenge? 1,100 played games and like $147 before we started today's stream. Something like that. I actually posted just before the stream. I posted a longer update. A longer update on the English side that included the last 3 days of results. So Tappipe says that same for me. You mean that it broke up or it works for you? Unteritoki, now I must say that I didn't understand what you are saying there. Could you try to elaborate a bit more? Ouch. Actually, this is probably something that we should have shoved the flop with. This sucks. Well, like our opponent needs to have a not flush. Only 19% of the time. Not flushing. Nice hand. A flush with a deuce. So I think I might have a bit of a different idea what's a nice hand than my opponent here, but everything goes, everything goes. And if I miss that I'm having a straight flush there, then but usually I'm trying to say that if there is something technically wrong or there's something that there has been a usually we are trying to like upgrade the technical stuff if something doesn't work quite quickly. And we have monitors for pretty much everything, so like I can later on see that what has the streaming server done for us, what have been the CPU loads at different points, has there been a point where the server loads have been higher than it can process in real time. So I can see on that end that do we see a problem on our end. But of course with Twitch we pretty much on Twitch we never see anything. Like Twitch is pretty much a black box. If it works, nice. If it doesn't work, then there's usually nothing much you can do. And Danita said that almost all nice hands are sarcastic. You are having a too evil word view of the poker players. Unteritoki said, I mean, you always tell why you must do something, and why is important. This sucks. This situation sucks. I don't like that kind of a bubble at all. And one of the things that is different in these 1.5s is that the average player they don't get involved in that many pots as they should. Trying to get a bit of a interesting situation going on. Like if this guy folds, actually, probably would have been better to shove preflop to make this guy fold more of the time. I just thought that he's going to fold anyways, even if we are taking it. He's going to fold anyways, and then we are still having, like, on the flop we are having like 150 chips to make the other guy fold. And the 8 jack king flop is probably one of the worst flops for us. I don't know if that's a critique. Like I think that I'm sometimes saying why that people are not people are black and white, but the situations as black and white, that like someone should do this always, and when they are not doing it, then I might get a bit confused. But so I don't know if it's a critique or I'm trying to explain, since it also helps in the stream, to trying to speak also why, or but I might be kind of having strong opinions, so might be that I'm usually at the end that people or a smart player must do something like this, even if it might be that there might be a better option. I'm just might be at some points that I'm just not smart enough to see the better option. Wow. Yeah. Ah. I don't know, but it right now it starts to get annoying again when just the table amounts are dropping all the time. So actually, one tip here is that also when people are getting eliminated on the table, sometimes the table pops up. So if you're playing stacked, you should always have a hotkey on how you are going to get the table out. And if you're playing stacked and you don't have any real tool, then paying attention to this green play button is something that should be done, since if you are sitting out on some table, turns to be this turns into a yellow pause sign. And then if you are training yourself to monitor it, then you can always see that if you are sitting out on some table that you shouldn't be. Yeah, okay. I'm just too thin there, that if somebody is trying to give me a compliment, I'm trying to talk myself out of it. So like then I can say that somebody almost tried to give me a compliment, but I could talk myself out of it. In Finnish, in Finnish and in Finnish and between men, it's sometimes spoken with the proverb melkein sain pillua, mutta onneksi selvisin puhumalla. And that's something actually that I can't translate into English. But I heard laughter on the other room, so. And sorry all of you non-English guys, since Finnish is also, it's impossible for you to Google later, since the pronouncement is going to be so different in English. So even like how to write certain stuff will be almost completely impossible. But I remember that we did one of those Finnish proverb nights. Nights. I don't even remember when it was. I think somewhere somewhere a bit before this. And now they are interested that where does that kind of proverb originate? And how to check the delay on the stream? Yeah, that's a good way to check the delay on the stream. Since Deia is going to be hearing this stuff, like I know that she has been sometimes using these headphones to listen to something else, but usually I'm speaking loud enough to that she would need to use some kind of ear protection rather than just headphones to get rid of my talk here. So then she's just like she's she's watching the stream but without the voice, so the situations are coming in the wrong order for her. But I think that now I know noticed how many Finns we have watching in our chat. So I think that in general we should have like half a minute or something like that for a delay. So it shouldn't be that big. Yeah, and as it's summertime, I'm also having a fan here in the room. Actually, no, that's not part of the fan that's showing in the image anyway, but it's close to my right side and I think that some of the microphones that we are having are not having as much fun with the fan and remove the noise than the headset microphone. So that was also something that we had on the start of these projects, the problem with the sound quality. So yeah, should be a shove. And usually I can keep a straight face in the stream, but when I'm hearing something from the other room, it might crack me up as well. And now I better not eat the microphone. Like if I'm trying, it's going to get away from me. Like it's like a donkey and a carrot. And sometimes with the results that we are having on this project, I'm starting to wonder if the donkey and the carrot proverb is going to be correct. But I must say that these 6 maxes haven't gone according to plan at all. Like, I don't know. I don't know. King 5, we should get enough equity against him, and flipping there doesn't actually matter. We don't care if we are flipping. In this point, if we are like, if we are not against the bigger pocket pair and if we are getting some folds, it's going to be okay. And actually, when he just min raise, when there are going to be 3 guys that are smaller or equal in stack size, I actually think that that might have been a mistake there. Just because of like how often does a guy have something there that he min raised folds? And I don't think that out of cutoff he's not going to have that many min raised folds in his range. Oh, I folded pocket 3s there with 3 big blinds. That's definitely not a Nash fold. And that's definitely not a good fold. I just looked like if it's 2-3 off, that would be like the worst hand I would be folding there. Oh well, rescued a win from there still. I think that I'm actually I'm better at 9 max, but I'm probably having more fun at 6 max, which is kind of an interesting. Like, I think that the 6 max games are better games. I think that the games are game is like the game itself is more fun in 6 maxes, but and also one of the things that I also think that what I have looked from the shark scope on different regs, that almost every time the 6 max regs are having worse ROIs than 9 max regs. So it's also something that in the structure there's not as much spots to make as big mistakes. Like in 9 max games you can make some huge mistakes near the bubble, and in 6 max, like, you can't make that big mistakes near the bubble. So something to take into account. And also, like, I think, like, in hypers, if you're comparing 9 maxes and 6 maxes, I think that there's almost 5 hands, the difference between, like, 5 hands and something like 2 or 3 minutes of difference between the 2 different games, that you are going to have like 5 more hands in a 9 max game. And always, the more hands you have on average, the more spots you have where you can apply your edge. And we can see how many fourth places on 6 max or 9 max. I think that we are actually having more fourth places in 6 max, since, like, in 9 max on average you are hitting one. Like, if you would have been a completely average player, you would have a flat graph of hitting every position at like 11.5%, like 11.1% rate. And if you are 6 max and you are completely average, you are hitting all the positions at 16.7% rate. So if you are comparing, like, how often you are getting a certain position, you are going to get a certain position 1.5 times more often in 6 max, since there is like only 6 positions rather than 9. And I think that we have had the middle finger of doom in the previous project, that I had something like 35% of finishes in 4th place in 6 maxes. This like Joel guy, I'm not sure that should I mark him as a reg or not. Like, I think that he's going to be too tight for the 6 maxes to be really profitable in the 6 maxes. But on the other hand, also when he's playing kinda solidish shove game and he doesn't leak that much at the early levels, that do I want to have that kind of a player on my tables? Wait, what happened here? Not winning a flip happened here. Okay, okay. Let's get a four-handed table here. This is actually quite nice since the stack sizes are quite interesting, and also the other big stack seems to be a tight player, so this might be a table that we can abuse a lot. And Neo says that um, good evening, good evening to Germany as well. And how is the Phoenix doing? I think that when I tried to buy a Phoenix, somebody sold me an ostrich, and like, this Phoenix should be, it should be take out from the ashes and then just like fly away. But ostriches, they can't fly, and they are just like sticking their head in the mud when shit happens. And I think like my Phoenix is in the ostrich mode right now, and not flying, not even climbing to a mountain or something, but like sticking the head down and hiding from predators. I think I'll mark this guy as a reg. Because I can't get that much benefit in having that guy in my tables. Even though I don't think that he's probably even going to win that much from these games, but I think that he's. And in this case, when we are having an opponent that folds too much, our strategy is to min raise, min raise, min raise, min raise, min raise, and trying to just grind him down with small pots. And depends, sometimes guys are changing their gears a lot when heads up comes around. But sometimes there are also guys that are playing still like carrying on playing just 30% of the pots even in heads up. Well, this guy seems to have changed his gears. Might be that we have adjusted in a wrong way against this guy. And here we have enough odds. Getting it in with ace7 against king7. Okay. Not going to win that game either. Well, it's just 22 minutes for Kuberis Omaha and the overwhelming positivity. And I just told you about the how's the new challenge going. That somebody has sold me a flightless Phoenix, and I think that it might be an ostrich after all. And Kauris said that second place is much better than the fourth place. I agree. I agree. Second place is in the money still, so it's not like it's not as good as winning, but it's still going to be okay. And in poker, some people are saying, like in MTTs, that like, okay, that I didn't cash in the tournament, but I got quite far away in the tournament. But in these games, like, it doesn't matter if you are out sixth or you are out third. The end result is still same, that there's no money for finishing third, fourth, fifth or sixth. And the only thing that matters are the times that you are finishing first or second. And I think you should always try to do your best in just increasing those first and second positions as much as possible. Yeah, I think that my Finnish distribution is quite close to Caleon's, that the sixth is going to be the least common place, but usually the first place has been the most common place for me, and second and third places are quite rare, and fourth places are more rare, or more common. It depends a bit though on what kind of a run you have had, on the time that you are. But well, this is a heads up that we have been turning around, and hopefully we are winning that heads up, since that would be awesome. With the lowest stack, we wanna gamble here a bit and wanna increase our stack size, take a bit of a risk. Opponent hit the queen. As I said on the start of this stream, that one of the things that has surprised me the most, like, usually with the project it has been quite easy to keep yourself motivated, but especially on the second challenge, like the first challenge was easier, but on the second challenge it has been really hard, especially with the technical problems, when it's like can't get a break. Okay. Ace 8. Being really aggressive with ace 8 there. Well played for him. And usually when I say well played, it's not going to be used in a sarcastic manner, even though I sometimes might be in a more sarcastic mood with it. Yeah, let's just get it in when our opponent is having only two big blinds. Might have been fine also to wait for the flop and shove on the flop when opponent can still fold on the flop. Even though our opponent would have hit the two pairs, but on average he's not hitting those two pairs. On average he's going to be an underdog on the flop and have nothing. But just like those spots that usually people are thinking that if we are taking more spots to the flop, then we are going to get it in. But if it's going to be a better strategy option, it's going to also show up. Like usually people are just interested in spots that are, ah, this is nasty. This guy has a good hand. This guy doesn't make him go all in often enough, so I think we need to go here. But if this guy would have shoved, I would have folded, since then I think that this guy will call too often, but he won't be raising too often. Nah, just not going to make our opponent fold often enough, especially when he's having the biggest stack. Getting way too much action for our king 6 there. Way too much action. It's kind of a wonder why there are so many guys in these six maxes that are having a really needy strategy but are still being regs. I think that even in these games where opponents' most common mistakes are going to be being too tight, they're going to be like loose passive. I still think that if you are really needy, it's going to be really hard to beat the rake in these games and to be even break even or higher. Might also be that we just have seen our opponent when they haven't had a lot of good hands, but wow. Just wow. Are there less regs in 1.5 6 maxes than in 9 maxes in your experience? Mm, there are way more games running in 6 maxes. So I think the average 6 max should probably be about, I think it should be quite equivalent to the average 9 max. It's also in a way that when there are way more 6 maxes running and it's going to be harder to play every 6 max, you are not going to get a sample size on your opponents as quick as you are getting in the 9 maxes. So hard to say, because also I'm not going to have all the regs marked in the 6 maxes. I think that probably 6 maxes in 1.5s are going to be quite equal, and like if there are more regs per player or per game on average, there might be that in 6 maxes I don't think that the regs are as good as in 9 max. Like in 9 max, I think that one thing that matters a lot is that there are going to be like almost all of the learning material is geared towards 9 maxes, and there is almost no learning material to 6 maxes. But if I'm thinking like compared to the higher stakes, I think that probably the 6 maxes, if I'm like comparing $15 6 maxes and 9 maxes, and then I'm comparing 1.5 6 maxes and 9 maxes, I think that like compared to those, that the 9 maxes are closer to the level that they are in 50s, and these 1.5s are going to be, I think that they are going to be like better games compared to, if we are trying to compare between the levels. And Danita says that I think that regs might play a lot of tables and turn out playing too tight because of that. Yeah, that might be true. That might be true. But if I'm seeing somewhere that there's two regs in a game, then I'll point out the tight reg and make a comparison on the stats. But I think that just like an aggressive reg will have a lot better expectation in these games, even when a tight and aggressive reg would have like pretty much play the optimal against guys that are making most of their mistakes by calling too much and playing too many hands passively, and tight and aggressive is going to be. But also one point, that if you are playing a bit more loose, playing a bit more pots, especially against the worst players on the table, then you are going to have a better edge than a player that plays really tight. This could have been a shove as well. It's a race call hand for sure. So when I'm going to hear that Kuber is going to start his machine, then I'm going to go through a pretty quick shutdown mode. Since Kuber is having some delay, so I should have, when his message arrives to me, then I should have something like 1.5 minutes time to say goodbye and end the session. I probably should be ending the opening of the games quite soon. Yeah, I can actually end the... We don't need any more games. We have all the games we need. Actually, this is probably one of those spots that it's going to be quite close, and I think that it's probably should be better to just shove the ace king suited even. Opponent bet twice without a pair from small blind. Usually people are going to be quite one and done type of guys here. And they are not playing shotgun poker where they would always have two barrels that need to be fired. Pocket force should be good enough. An opponent should have some folds in his range. Whoa. It's a bit like, do I want to grow the pot? And I'm starting to sound like a marijuana farmer. Like, do I want to grow the pot? And at that point, I thought that growing pot is going to be the right choice. Unfortunately, it didn't want to grow. Would be fun if we would win a bit more of those all-in situations. Offsuit king 8 probably wouldn't be good enough to shove against the biggest stack, and this is really nasty since this guy is one of the most aggressive guys shoving from the small blind. So he's not going to give me an easy time in the game, and probably is going to abuse his big stack a lot and going to remove me from a lot of my good spots. Unfortunately, he's also going to let this guy steal a lot from him, so pretty much like even when we are having an equal stack size, my position on the table is worse than his. But like ICM can't take that into account, since that would be really hard to do. It's just something that my stack size is worth less than ICM would dictate in that point, since because of this reg's tendencies and his stack size, which is I think it's slightly interesting in that point. On how the dynamics change, even not based on just the numbers, but also on the player tendencies and like spots where our stack size is worth less than an ICM would dictate, or because if we can't get easy chips but our opponents can get easy chips, then it's going to be a spot where with an equal size stack size that then we are going to get slightly screwed in those spots. Queen 3, not good enough, not good enough. He probably folds and I need to call this. And since I'm starting to be the second stack here, I need to get rid of this guy. Seemingly I'm going to be fortunate, and that's That's a good spot to get fortunate. And Danita has that king 10 suited may be a close call. I think so that it should be a close call. I thought that it was king 10 of diamonds, but I can't see it on my PT4 yet for some reason. But it was against this guy and I thought that it's going to be close. Last 4 tables, and this is a game we are going to win. Like, that's going to be a game that just needs to be won. And he's going to be a guy that shoves really close to Nash, so we are doing a Nash call here. And this pretty much guarantees that he's going to be shoving Nash, or actually a bit looser than Nash. Interesting, since I can't see the king 10 suited. For some reason can't find the hand. Now I found it. If we have time and if this game ends, then we are going to take a look at it. But these are the stack sizes. And I think actually this guy probably is going to be aggressive enough. I just thought in this spot that it's going to be better for me to have a big stack and be able to play the bubble later on. Probably if I'm going to lose like 1.5 in equity, then it's going to be too little. Kuberi says that it's starting to be ready, so I'm going to say bye and stop my stream.